Finally, I want to close out looking at the 8th commandment by looking at some practical ways that we can obey this commandment. Here, I'm going to just kind of shotgun blast some principles at you to see how we can obey the commandment to not steal. First, if something does not belong to you, don't take it. Okay? Do not take it for yourself. Even if you think you need it more. Like I said earlier, even if you say the person never uses it, the person will never know, God knows. God sees. If it does not belong to you, do not take it. Do not take it for yourself. Second, if you borrow something from someone, give it back to them in a reasonable and preferably a set period of time. If you borrow something from someone, the best thing to do is say, hey, when can I get this back to you? When would you like this back? Even if they say, just kind of whenever, why don't you say, well, how about, can I give it back to you in 3 weeks? What this does is it gives you a frame to work with to say, hey, I'm not going to steal this from you. I'm not going to borrow this forever until it just basically becomes mine. I want to do right by you. I want to honor you. You're letting me borrow what's yours. I want to be respectful to you. So here, why don't we agree on a set amount of time and then stick to it? Once you're done with something that someone else has lent to you, let you borrow, give it back to them. Do not keep it for yourself. Which, by the way, look, we can all be guilty of that. I'm sure that I have books on my shelf that I've stolen from people because I've taken it from them and I forgot to give it back to give it back to them. And I shouldn't do that. And of course, if by the way, you're watching this video and you realize that years ago I borrowed a book from you and I never gave it back to you, I guess come find me and we have some reconciliation, I guess, too. There's some apologies to be made. Third, honor people's time. Honor people's time. If you say you're going to meet someone at one time, honor that. Otherwise, you're stealing time from them. This sort of goes into lying, which we're going to talk about in a moment, as well as stealing. If I say I'm going to meet you at 3 o'clock at a coffee shop and you're there and I leave you waiting for an hour, I'm stealing time from you. I'm not treating your time like it's valuable. I'm using your time for my sake, doing whatever I'm doing. Of course, there's always circumstances that might go into these sorts of things, but I'm talking about being lazy or not planning out my day well. I've ended up, if I'm not being considerate of other people, I might end up stealing time from them. Don't do that. Honor people's times. Honor your appointments. Honor your commitments. If you're at work, if you are working, do not waste time being lazy. That's stealing time from your employer. If you're on the clock, work. Otherwise, that's time theft and that's stealing. Don't force people to wait for you longer than necessary. Fourth, and finally, don't withhold something that's rightfully owed to someone else. Okay? If you are an employer, do not withhold salary from your employees. You owe them a salary, so you must give that to them. If you say, I'm gonna give you $100 to come help me move for the day, do not withhold it from the people who show up because you've agreed to give that to them and therefore they're entitled to it and you would be stealing from them by not giving to them what is rightfully theirs. Don't withhold from people. Don't withhold inheritance from your children as well. Listen, be thankful. This is for all of us. Be thankful and be content with what you have. Honor God with what He has given you and seek to live and give generously to others.